looks like it's working. Why does it keep doing that? Anyway, welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Resolve. Last we left off, we had finished up the investigation portion of episode 3 and would be getting into the trial in this one. The first investigation portion and the first trial portion of that. Anyway. What is it? Are you... There it goes. And that's right, I keep forgetting to grab like something to put these on, this microphone on. You have to stack it up on top of like a couple books or something. Just so it would be higher, closer to where I am, so I don't have to lean over quite so much. It's too late to do anything about it at this point. Alright. Let's get back into it. Well, I say get back into it, but it sounds like the garbage truck is here. What on earth are they slamming? That like vibrated my desk a bit. My goodness. What's that? Oh, that's right. I was... Oh, that's not important. Poor timing. I suppose I should talk about something, in the meantime. Because I don't want to... I don't want to try and get through the game while they're doing that. Why is it so loud? I made cookies yesterday. Almond oatmeal cookies. Mainly because I wanted to use part of them as part of a cake. Because there's a... Because birthday is coming up. I won't specify when or whose, but... we got a marble cake recipe that I think I'm gonna make. But the way it works is it makes like 2 of the circular pans we have. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna put the almond cookie thing I made like in between them. Because we had a spring pan circle, the ones for cheesecakes and whatever. So I put it in there, and it's a little bigger than the circle pans for the other one, so I just kind of, while it was still warm, I just put the other one, the pan for the cake on top of it and just kind of cut out a space. Might turn out a little off that way, but I can adjust it or something once I get there. But I don't want to make the cake until, like, a bit later, because I don't want that to sit around. Cookies can sit around and be like fine, but cake is less fine just sitting around. Okay, it sounds like they've left. So I'm gonna make that, and I'm gonna also put some almond icing on it, and I'll decorate it with more of the sliced almonds, and it'll be great. It'll be a lovely cake. The icing probably won't be all smooth and fancy, but it'll taste good. Okay, they have left. The garbage truck is gone. Now we can carry on. 23rd of October, 8:52 a.m., the Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. I can't believe it's been 6 months since I was last allowed to work in court. And now here I am, back at the Old Bailey. Mr. Naruhodo. Good morning, Professor Harebrine. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. The atmospheric pressure in here is off the charts. Never felt anything like it. It's crushing me. I feel it every time I'm here, that gravity. Well, this is Britain's highest court. But are you telling me it's fitted with some kind of device that can actually control air pressure? I think it's probably all in the mind. Yes, well, you won't let me down, will you, Mr. Naruhodo? I'm counting on you in today's trial to save my life. To save the secret of my super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine from being made public. Yes, I understand. I know what I have to do. I have to establish that the explosion 2 days ago was nothing more than an unfortunate accident. Well, I'm sure there's nothing to worry about, really. Justice will prevail. My commiserations, Mr. Naruhodo. You appear to have been lumbered with the most tiresome case here. Who's this? Oh. Mr. Sholmes. I didn't expect to see you here. That was very mean, Rono. Leaving me alone. Maybe leaving me alone at home with Harley. Took me at least an hour to wake him. Is it you? Sherlock Sholmes. Indeed, sir, I am he. Sherlock Sholmes. Oh, I've heard all about your exploits if you're still living in Germany. Oh yes, Rand's magazine is on sale in Germany too. This month's installment was sublime. The deduction in the adventure of Silver Blaze was wonderful. Ah yes, memorable case indeed. It concerned a snake, I seem to recall. No, that was the Speckled Band. Well, thank you for coming. I do appreciate your support. I'm sorry to disappoint you, my dear fellow, but I'm afraid I can't stay. Oh. I've heard of business at Madame Tusmel's. You mean your waxwork job? Oh no, a waxwork abduction, of course. Madame has engaged my services. Ah, so you're trying to get to the bottom of that ransom note, are you? A week's wages depend on it, and so safe return than waxwork, naturally. As such, I intend to give it my undivided attention. Oh, well, never mind then. I understand. Of course, with my skills of observation and reasoning, resolving the matter will be as easy as proverbial pie. I shall return forthwith. Until I solve the case, I shall have no money to afford a pie of any description. Oh, you must absolutely give it your full attention, Hurley. Quite, Iris, quite. But life is riddled with irony, you know. Whenever I give something my full attention, I have a quite insatiable desire for a pie. One of the universe's intractable mysteries, you might say. Oh, yes, quite, definitely, absolutely. I totally understand. It's someone a little starstruck. Well, I wish you the very best of luck, Professor Harebrine. Why, thank you. Before I depart, Mr. Naruhodo, a word in your ear, if you please. What's this about? As you have remarkably little grounding in science, I feel I ought to inform you. As compelling as the super high voltage instantaneous kinesis hypothesis may be, the practical implementation, such as was attempted by the professor at the Great Exhibition, is quite impossible. But the professor said the demonstration was a success. Yes, it would appear he fervently believes it was. I've read Professor Pennybrain's paper about it too, and I have to say, I'm sure it can't be done. It could barely be done theoretically, let alone practically. So he's completely barking up the wrong tree. But how can an experiment that had no possibility of succeeding in fact succeed? That's contradictory. And it's that contradiction that will be at the heart of the trial, I've no doubt. What's that supposed to mean? Now, I must hurry along. I wish you the best of luck, my dear fellow. See you later, Hurley. It's not on my screen. Well, it looks like you're on your own today. Well, it looks like you're on your own today, Bruno. But chin up, you can do it. Oh, what about you, Iris? Oh, no, I'm afraid I can't help. I have something I need to do. I see. It's going to be a big surprise for you when you find out what it is. That sounds ominous. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court is about to be in session. Make your way into the courtroom at once. We're on our way. An experiment that the laws of science say can't possibly succeed. And a scientist who's convinced that it did. That's the riddle you have to unlock here, Ryunosuke. That's the key to this case. "23rd of October, 9:10 a.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are sitting today for the public trial of Professor Albert Harebrine. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready, my lord. I'm 6 months out of practice. And what's more, I'm without Susato-san today. Is it just my imagination, or does the air in here feel even more oppressive than usual? So, I must say I recollected the victim of this case all too well, Mr. Rodi Assman. Mr. Assman was well known as a financer, and that was merely a front for his diverse criminal activities. It was only a month ago that the man appeared in court prosecuted by you, Lord Van Zieks. But the jury unanimously found him not guilty. Because every member of the jury had been bribed, by the sound of it. These powerful London criminals are prepared to go to extreme lengths to keep their freedom. 2 days ago, on the 21st of October, Mr. Assman met his end. The work of the Reaper, was it? If that is how your lordship would describe divine retribution. But the fact remains that Mr. Assman's death was a direct result of the actions of the accused, Professor Harebrine. Very well then. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people. Are the 6 of you ready to fulfill your societal duty? I am most gratified to have been selected to carry out this important civic duty, my lord. Of a man's fate in the palm of one's hand. Oh gosh, oh golly, it sends shivers down my spine. Science experiments, magic, conjuring tricks, cauldron trials. All nothing more than performances. And a spurious scholar that defiles the reputation of science deserves to hang. 3 of them so far wearing top hats. We have to listen to what's said on both sides of the fence, and said on one, that's it, isn't it? Right. It wasn't like this in my day, it wasn't like this at all. Why you just have a gun? Put that away. That's a police killer audible lookalike again. And he's as exhausted as ever, it seems. Now, as I'm sure you're all aware, the incident we are here to judge today tragically took place at the Great Exhibition shortly after its opening. Oh, the death toll couldn't have been far worse. With the exception of the victim, no one was killed. Nevertheless, the dream of the science being exhibited rapidly turned into a nightmare for the spectators. A tragic turn of events, and as such, the eyes of all London, no, of the whole world, will be on this trial. It is our duty to reach a swift and just conclusion, I feel. So, your opening statement, please, Lord Van Zieks. At the heart of this incident is technology never before demonstrated anywhere in the world. One of science's latest developments, I take it. The government is keen to capitalize on the Great Exhibition to improve Britain's technological advantage. Took something in my throat. This always happens. I need to do vocal warm-ups or something. That would probably help. Okay. I'm good. The government is keen to capitalize on the Great Exhibition to improve Britain's technological advantage. The technology being demonstrated by the accused was described as super high voltage instantaneous kinesis. Good lord. It's designed to disassemble human subjects using extremely high voltage electricity and beam them instantly to another location where they're subsequently reassembled. Is such a thing even within the realms of possibility? Well, I don't believe it, that's for sure. Disassembling people with electricity! My goodness, so shocking! Oh, the whole idea is absurd! The hypothesis would never stand up to scrutiny. So, I believe you are a fellow of the Royal Society, are you not? An expert in your field? I am, and my word on the matter can be considered final. Instantaneous kinesis is poppycock. So, this expert and Mr. Sholmes are in agreement. It's impossible. What is the prosecution's view on the matter? The prosecution would assert that the accused's instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a success. What rot? Order! Professor's hypothesis is currently under investigation by the British government. If it is deemed to have merit, a substantial research grant would be made available. The accused made use of the invention built on his new hypothesis, take Mr. Osman's life, in order to be the sole benefactor of the grant. But... This disastrous demonstration was no accident. It was carefully designed from the outset to end the life of the victim. Thank you, Lord Van Zeeks. The prosecution's stance is clear. But you will now bring forth witnesses to substantiate your claims. Gladly, my lord. Bailiff, show the first witness to the stand. We're gonna talk to, like, the... Okay, we got... That makes sense. At some point we should talk to the engineer who built it, I think. That would be relevant. Something was mentioned about an engineer building the thing to the guy's specifications. So presumably that would be useful information to have. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, the Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard's Homicide Division. Was on duty at the demonstration on the day in question and in charge of the following investigation. Albert Harebrain's a scientist. You were born in England, but have been carrying out research in Germany in recent years, correct? Yes, that's right. After graduating from university here in Britain, I went to work in Germany and made an amazing discovery. Which is what brought me back to demonstrate my incredible hypothesis at the Great Exhibition. What you demonstrated was incredible, alright? An incredible explosion. But the science was a success. The instantaneous kinesis worked. If everyone saw what they must have done. Yes, there was a terrible accident, but the demonstration of my hypothesis was a success. Well, that much is undeniable, as shown in this photograph taken by the forensic investigation team. This was taken inside the Crystal Tower, I take it. The centerpiece of the exhibition, no less. White spot on your front, but nothing else. What has caused the bleeding? The rest of you looks unaffected. That's right, my lord. Seems a victim rammed straight into it. I see. Very well, submit the photograph as evidence. Photograph of the victim has been entered in the court record. Photographic print of the victim taken after he'd ostensibly been beamed to the Crystal Tower. It shows an apparent stab wound to the chest. As the court's heard, the victim of the incident was Mr. Odie Osman. There have been a number of allegations made against the man, but putting them aside for the time being, he was the man who financed the research for the experiment and the demonstration itself. I see. So to summarize the situation, the defendant is accused of taking the life of the man who funded his work. Wouldn't that be correct? Exactly. But couldn't it be that the explosion was caused by some malfunction in the apparatus used for the demonstration? That's right! That must be it! My splendid machine! My poor splendid machine! You saw it yesterday, didn't you? Can't even examine the wreckage thanks to the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. What? The wreckage? The wreckage! And that being the case, how can the facts be established? How can it possibly be determined whether this was an accident or a deliberate and malicious act? Extremely simply, my lord. I beg your pardon. Isn't that right, witnesses? Oh, what? Sorry, me? No, your neighbor. Yes, sir. It was murder, plain and simple. Anyone could state that with complete certainty. What? How can he possibly think that? Thank you, Inspector. I think we had better proceed to formal testimony. You will explain to the court on what grounds you claim this experiment to have been a front for murder. A front for murder. A corpse that went crashing through the crystal tower had a broken neck. I made a minor miscalculation in the angle of the beam projection, that's all. That was my mistake. The post-mortem examination revealed another injury, a fatal wound. There was a lesion in his chest, right where he'd clearly been stabbed by something sharp right through the heart. Who was sending me messages? Hold on. Okay, that's fine. That's not something I need to deal with right now. There was a lesion in his chest where he'd clearly been stabbed by something sharp right in the heart. The victim was killed before he went anywhere, and this fella's the only one who could have done it. An extraordinary business. In addition to suffering a broken neck, the victim was stabbed in the heart. Information I would really like to have heard from someone other than the judge. The coroner says the death would have been all but instant from a wound like that. You couldn't say, in fact, that the victim was killed twice by the accused. No, and no! That couldn't be further from the truth. I've here the experiment plan document that was submitted to the security team. The victim stood himself inside something called the bird cage, ready to be beamed instantly. To the second level of the crystal tower, about 25 yards away. The experiment did not go according to plan, however. As the machine was put into operation, there was a large explosion. The blast caused the beam transmitter to point higher than intended. Accordingly, the kinesis resulted in the bird cage materializing in mid-air, from where it subsequently fell, crashing through the glass of the crystal tower's large round window. My word! One assumes the victim's neck was broken upon impact with the tower, then. I'm so sorry! I didn't mean for this to happen. The machine was just too powerful. Honestly, really, I swear, it was just an accident. A terrible accident. Unfortunately, that excuse can't save you. No, not considering the sharp murder weapon that pierced the victim's heart. A murder weapon? What are you saying? This is the autopsy report submitted by the coroner. The prosecution would like it entered into the court record. Your request is granted, counsel. The autopsy report is mentioned in the court record. The autopsy report of the victim, Mr. Osman. His neck was broken from the impact of a violent fall, and he was stabbed in the chest with a sharp object. Like glass? I was there in person, you know. Saw the whole ludicrous performance. The only other person on the stage with Mr. Osman was that disgraceful excuse for a scientist. And really, by all accounts, it must have been him. Hard to think otherwise, really. Very well, counsel for the defense, please. Proceed with the cross-examination, please. Adjusting my seating. It snowed yesterday. There's snow out all the... Is it snowing right now? No, there's like a couple flakes floating around, but... Oh, yes, my lord. I need to focus here. It's been a while. Cross-examination. The corpse that would crash into the crystal tower had a broken neck. Alright, hold on. I should look at the new evidence. In more detail. Details of victim. Name, Odi Osman, male. Age 47, nationality British. Time of death, 21st of October, around 2:20 p.m. We have a name for the coroner. Courtney... Scythe? Cause of death, hemorrhage of a wound to the chest that pierced the heart, inflicted by a sharp implement. Additional observations, broken vertebra, most likely resulting from an impact after a sudden fall from considerable height. Sure. And this is just a picture, we saw it before. Nothing too stand out here.
Hold it!
Are you suggesting that's because he fell from a considerable height? Exactly. Which highlights something else about this whole room business. What's that? The fact that the instantaneous kinesis itself was a success. Ah! The explosion, the cage with the fell inside suddenly appeared out of nowhere in midair. So although the experiment ended in disaster, the so-called instantaneous kinesis didn't actually occur. Remind us, Professor, what was the cause of the fatal disaster? I made a minor miscalculation in the angle of the beam projection. That's all. That was my mistake.
Hold it!
So the angle of the projection is critical, is it? And you calculated it yourself, personally? Absolutely. The calculation is far too complicated for anyone but me to carry out. Only you got it wrong, didn't you? Yes, that's right. That's the point. The calculation is so complicated that even I can make a mistake. Do people fall for that brazen confidence? I should try it. I took into account the subject's height and weight, the wind direction, the ambient temperature. I considered every possible variable, so I just don't understand how this could have happened. Obviously, then, you had to include the weight of the clothes Mr. Osman was wearing at the time, I suppose. Ah. Crackling comets? The answer should have been 3. So much for safety first. 3 must be for safety third. The post-mortem examination revealed another injury. A fatal wound. Whoops. Right, the wrong button. I wanted to...
Hold it!
Another fatal injury, you say? That doesn't make any sense. I didn't think I'd have to spell this out, but here we go. Just because there were 2 fatal wounds doesn't mean I'm saying the victim had 2 lives to lose, does it? It's too right. Obviously, at first, we thought the bloke had died due to his spine stabbed in half as well. But you're saying that's not the case. I'll get your answer once I finish my fish and chips. If you don't keep butting in every few seconds. But we all know it's a bottomless bag. The victim plummeted 30 feet into a glass tower. It would be reasonable to assume that as the cause of death. Right. As we all thought, it was red herring, wasn't it? It was a lesion in his chest where he'd clearly been stabbed by something sharp right in the heart.
Hold it!
The defense knew nothing of this critical information. The prosecution received this report from the forensic investigation team only this morning. That was the first we knew of it as well. I can only apologize for the impossibility of informing the defense. Sarcastic and insincere. Thanks. So, what was the nature of the sharp object? Among the accused tools used at the demonstration, one is of particular interest. This. Right, we saw that. Oh yes, that would appear to be some kind of screwdriver, wouldn't it? There he is! My trusty little companion, Andrew! Andrew, of course. Ah, do you know each other already? He's one of my dear friends, like all my tools. I've named them all, you know. We're one big happy family. Andrew's my flathead screwdriver, of course. His brother Michael's a crosshead. Well, it would appear your beloved Andrew has a red stain on his shank. That isn't... It's blood, beyond all reasonable doubt. No. That's not all. The long, sharp shape of this Andrew fellow is completely consistent with the victim's wound. What? Order! The court will enter this friend of the defendant as evidence. Screwdriver has been entered into the court record. Professor Harebrain's trusty screwdriver that he's named Andrew. There are traces of blood at the tip and it matches the shape of the victim's wound. So, one of Professor Harebrain's tools is the murder weapon. Great. Let me take a closer look at it. I've seen this unusually shaped handle before. It's the same screwdriver that was lodged in the grill on the floor of the kinesis machine. Which could be important information, so I should definitely make a note of it. Details of the screwdriver and update in the court record. Metal screwdriver that was found poking through the grill in the base of what remains of the kinesis machine. With a very distinctive handle. And here's the blood. This blood. Mr. Osmond's, no doubt. This is the problem with looking at murder weapons. Okay.
Hold it!
What grounds do you have for saying that? Huh. Do you really need to ask? There are only 2 people on that public experimentation stage in front of the whole crowd. The victim, Mr. Odie Osmond, and the accused, Professor Harebrain. We know for certain that before the experiment, the victim was alive. That's right, I saw it with my own eyes. Furthermore, following the explosion and kinesis, nobody went anywhere near the body. In other words, only someone else on stage with the victim could have possibly done it. Oh? Hi, what's up?
Excuse me.
Professor Harebrain, do you have some information that may be relevant here? Professor! Oh, sorry. I was just calculating the optimum coefficient of the electrolysis to separate molecules in the human body. And the witness stand is the best place for that. It seemed as though you might have something to say about Inspector Gregson's last remark. Yes, that's right, of course. He just said that nobody else could have done it, didn't he? Yeah, that's right. Who else could have stunned the victim, eh? I don't know, but there's no way that I could possibly have stabbed Mr. Aspen, as you say. Explain, please, Professor. Of course, this cold-hearted policeman may not be aware, I suppose. But humans are warm-blooded mammals with blood running continuously through their veins. I'd heard. And surely you see, if I'd plunged something at the size of Andrew into the man's chest, the stage would have been a bloodbath, no, a blood swimming pool. Ah, but thousands of Londoners were watching me at the time. And yet not one of them claims to have seen a swimming pool of blood. Well, no, I suppose not. You've seen not one! True, I didn't see anything like that. Well done, Professor. That was a great counter-argument. Order! Pray forgive the discourtesy. I savor a drop from my hallowed chalice to accompany my old friend's addressing. Addressing? I've not seen that word. Here's to you, Albert. Oh, you're too kind, Bardock. But I'm really not a patch on you. No, you're not. No. You've neglected to mention one crucial possibility. I have. A particular situation which very little bleeding would result from a stab wound. Of course. Inspector, enlighten the court, please. Yes, sir. Where are they going with this? Why, well, you will amend your formal testimony now, Inspector Gregson. I'm gonna say that if it was stuck in there, it wouldn't have bled too much. The weapon the victim was stabbed with must have been left in his body whilst he was beamed through the air. Right, but we found it on the thing, we saw it there. Why would you think that, Inspector? Any wound, it's only where when you pull the weapon out that profuse bleeding occurs. Once it's still lodged in the body, it acts as a stopper of sorts, for want of a better word. I see. You don't need a medical You don't need a medical degree to be aware of this fact. It's common knowledge for any investigator. Ugh, where's Susato-san when you need her? Ask me, this bloke masked what he was doing from view with his body before stabbing Aspen in the chest. He beam the victim off the stage with his fancy device, but the screwdriver's still where he planted it. I would never do such a thing! Not my precious tools! I would never use them for such dirty work! You only use tools for their intended purpose! That's common knowledge for any scientist. Fact remains, the lack of blood at the scene can easily be explained, as the prosecution has demonstrated. So, that's all the testimony I have to work with. I had no idea the victim had been stabbed. That changes everything. Did Von Zieks keep that to himself until now on purpose to gain the advantage? There's not, like, a problem. There's just phlegm in my throat. Why? Nah. Oh, well, I suppose all I can do is press these witnesses for as much news and information as possible. Yes, I got it. I know exactly what the problem is. Guess where we found this? You were there. You said don't touch it. You say that while the weapon remains in the body, there's very little bleeding. Is that unequivocal? Look, there was no blood on the experimentation stage, even though that's where the fellow was stabbed. The only explanation for that is if the screwdriver was still in his body, stopping any heavy bleeding. It's common medical knowledge, my learned friend, even on your side of the world. Yes, but about the screwdriver. The thing is, we actually saw it at the scene ourselves, on the experimentation stage.
What?
It was on the floor by the wreckage of the machine, poking through a metal grill. I went to pick it up, but the detective here stopped me. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson?
Oh, now that you come to mention it, yes. Inspector, we to understand that you permitted the defense counsel to investigate. That you contravened the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act.
No, not at all. I wouldn't do that. I just let him look, nothing more. That was very clear he wasn't to touch a thing. Yes, that's true. The screwdriver was in plain sight, on the stage. But it shouldn't have been, should it?
What are you getting at?
If this tool had still been in the victim's body when the victim was beamed away by the machine, then it shouldn't have still been on the stage. That's right. It should have been beamed across to the Crystal Tower along with Mr. Osman, and been found still lodged in the victim's chest.
Oh, stop! Order! How do you explain this, Inspector?
I don't. It looks as though everything that the victim had on his person moved with him when he was beamed. If the screwdriver was still in his chest when the instantaneous kinesis occurred, obviously that should have been beamed to the destination as well. This is a strange situation. Even though people are saying that this instantaneous kinesis is a scientific impossibility, we're still basing arguments on the assumption that it did actually take place. Alright, time to tighten the screws here. My lord, if the prosecution is unable to explain this inconsistency in its argument, we can only conclude that the testimony given in support cannot be relied upon. Lord Von Zieks is stumped. Who's screaming? You.
Do you have something to say, witness?
Yes, I knew it.
It bears out. The equations hold. Mr. Naruto, don't worry.
About what?
Without delving into the details, there's no inconsistency.
What?
Even if Andrew had been lodged in Mr. Osmond's chest, my trusty tool wouldn't have moved. Andrew remaining on the stage is consistent with my calculations.
What?
It would seem your illusions have been shattered. Clearly, we should hear the accused's explanation. Or should I say, this brilliant scientist's explanation?
Just when I'd found an inconsistency in the prosecution's argument. Scientists.
Well, the defendant will testify again. Provide us with a scientific explanation as to why the inconsistency asserted by the defense fails to hold. In the name of Apollo, I will, my lord.
Worshipping Greek gods. What's that about?
The inconsistency explained. To be clear, I'm still in the state of gathering data in my research. My hypothesis states that kinesis cannot transport metal, though, hence the metal weapon that would have stayed put. In other words, the point just raised by Mr. Naruto isn't an inconsistency at all. Mr. Osmond was the patron of my research. Without him, my work wouldn't have been possible. Now I have a duty to protect the incredible machine that we built together. Alright, wouldn't have transported metal. Let me take a look at that picture. There's probably something metal in it. Yeah, his shiny thing on his glasses. That looks like metal. So the thrust of your testimony, Professor, is that based upon his hypothesis, metal objects cannot be moved by this method of instantaneous kinesis. In other words, since the screwdriver is made of metal, even if it remained lodged in the victim's chest, its subsequent discovery on the stage, despite the victim being found elsewhere, is not an inconsistency. And therefore, Professor Albert Harebrain could still have been the killer. My great hypothesis holds, you see. We had to make the cage used to contain the subject from wood for that very reason. I was not addressing you, witness.
Professor Harebrain.
Yes.
Whose side are you on here?
I don't take sides, Mr. Naruto. No. My only interest lies in upholding my hypothesis. I'm a scientist, after all.
Is he working for us or against us? It's very hard to tell.
Let's see how you cross-examine this testimony, Nipponi's friend. Yes, fire away, Mr. Naruto.
I know exactly the problem. Do I want to press these other things? I like the dialogue from pressing things. And yet your retort to my argument wasn't lacking in confidence in any way.
No scientist can find the truth without first finding self-belief. Those were the words of a certain scientist I hold in the very highest esteem.
But You realize that disproving my argument puts you in a very precarious position, don't you?
No scientist should strive to protect himself more than he strives to protect the truth. More words of the same great scientist, you know.
Words that are causing me a lot of trouble. Who is the scientist?
I'm afraid I couldn't tell you, Mr. Naruhodo. But as soon as I remember the magnificent genius's name, you'll be the first to know.
It might be worth keeping the names of your idols to mind.
You're wasting your breath, my learned friend. A scatterbrain even forgets my name at times.
So, Lord Von Zeeks really did have a friend once. I didn't notice hell freezing over.
My hypothesis states that kinesis cannot transport metal, though. Hence the metal weapons would have stayed put.
Hold it!
Your hypothesis states it, so this isn't proven then.
No, of course not. It's merely a hypothesis, but a good one, based upon thousands of calculations. But it is widely known that metals can't be decomposed by electrolysis. Electrolysis, rather. Yes, of course, I am right. My hypothesis is clearly correct.
What is it about incriminating himself that makes this man so happy?
It's the whole reason that birdcage is made of wood, you see.
Sorry, the birdcage.
Yes, that's what I call the C. obtusa cage, in which Mr. Osman was placed for the kinesis. C. obtusa. The jail cell in which the victim was detained does seem to be made of a timber of some sort.
Well, thank you not to refer to it as an instrument of incarceration, your lordship.
In short, any weapon lodged in the victim when he was beamed away by instantaneous kinesis would have been left behind on the stage if it was made of metal, correct? Yes, that's it. Yes. That offers perfectly the mathematical model. But the ultimate conclusion, then, is that the defendant alone had the opportunity to inflict this fatal injury on the victim, is it not? Indeed, sir.
Someone beam me out of this nightmare.
In other words, the point just raised by Mr. Naruhodo isn't an inconsistency at all.
Hold it!
You seem to be pleased by that.
It's another example of my hypothesis holding true. But I sense some sarcasm, Mr. Naruhodo. Are you not pleased?
No.
I knew it. At the end of the day, I'm no one responsible for Mr. Osman losing his life. The advancement of science is no excuse. I know that.
No, you're quite right.
Now, the court. Did you have a close relationship with Mr. Osman? Oh, well, no, not really. I'd only met with him 2 or 3 times. And we'd only ever discussed my hypothesis in the project and the research grant, of course. Mr. Osman was the patron of my research. Without him, my work wouldn't have been possible.
Hold it!
How did you come to know Mr. Osman in the first place?
A year ago now, a small provincial science journal published a little paper about my work.
It's very small.
That's a scientific journal. Good gracious, I should need some new spectacles. I might have had an extraordinary hypothesis and great promise, but at the time I had no money. I had to eat tiny little meals at a tiny little cafe and drink watered-down water out of a tiny little glass. But Mr. Osman read the paper and came to visit me in my tiny little laboratory. And offered you money to help fund your work. Exactly! That's exactly what happened. I handled the theoretical side of things, and Mr. Osmond provided me with an engineer for the practical. And the three of us produced that fantastic machine together. We need to speak with this engineer. The machine that you brought to the Great Exhibition to demonstrate. We had to apply to the government for some sort of inspection to be allowed to exhibit, I think. I didn't understand all that side of things, and Mr. Osmond took care of it all. He was a wonderful man. Really, I owe him everything. I have a duty to protect the incredible machine that we built together.
Hold it!
When you say that you built the machine together, does that mean that you were involved in its construction?
Yes, well, not exactly. I'm not good with the practical side of machines myself, so the physical construction was done by an engineer. It all remains of your creation now, though. Only the explosion. Repair will no doubt be impossible. I don't know, a good chunk of it looked to be intact. Yes, I realize that, but still. If someone were to gather all the broken parts, they could discover the secret of my hypothesis. But Mr. Osmond and I toiled over that machine for so long, we put our hearts and souls into it. I have to protect our work. So what's left of the machine must be kept safe. That's only fair, because what happened was an accident.
That's the extent of the testimony, then. Thank goodness for that. I don't want him doing any more damage. It's already basically proven that he could have been the culprit. It seems that what he really cares about is defending his hypothesis. Still, I wonder, what if his hypothesis is just fundamentally flawed? Okay, look at this picture, there's metal in it. Professor Harebrain, you say that according to your hypothesis, nothing made of metal can be beamed by instantaneous kinesis using the machine you made. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. Spot on. Exactly correct.
In that case, I'd ask you to have a look at this photograph that was taken at the scene. In particular, I'd like you to pay attention to the victim's face. You can clearly see that Mr. Osmond is wearing a pair of spectacles with a metal rim.
Metal? No, but metal can't. That's not metal. No.
We've already established that the proposed murder weapon, the screwdriver, was found on the stage. However, if your hypothesis correctly predicted that outcome, it should also have predicted that the metal-rimmed spectacles would be found in the same place.
My hypothesis.
Professor Harebrain, this isn't easy for me to say, but your hypothesis is clearly flawed.
Also, if the body had been transported like that, shouldn't there be no blood left on the screwdriver? Order. Counsel, what is the implication of this?
If, on the day in question, the alleged instantaneous kinesis never actually took place, then it's entirely possible that the victim was killed somewhere other than on the stage. And, in that case, someone other than the defendant could have been the culprit.
But my hypothesis is sound. I proved it that day. The experiment was a success. The experiment was proof of all of my work. I could say something here. My capacity as a fellow in the Royal Society. Yes, juror number 4. Go ahead. As a man of science, there's one thing I simply cannot abide. And that's a fraud who pretends to be a fellow man of science. But wait, great Scott, are you suggesting my science is suspect? It's just been disproved, hasn't it? In front of all of us. In other words, the whole demonstration was complete nonsense. from start to finish. Believe me, my fellow jurors, when I tell you that this man is a heel, a bounder, and a fraud. I say the wreckage of that machine should be stripped down and thoroughly examined.
No, never! The machine is the essence of my entire hypothesis. It's protected by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act.
What the devil is that blessed act all about? Who made up such a daft rule?
I don't like the way this seems to be going. What's the best way for me to help the professor?
Objection!
Professor Harebrained has yet to perfect his invention. That would seem to be the case, yes. But even so...
Even so, what?
Going to such trouble and expense to create a fake machine to display in public. He would have absolutely no reason to do such a thing.
Objection!
He had an obvious reason to do exactly that. For research grant money. The government was foolish enough to deem this man's ridiculous notion plausible. He and his conspirators would have received a handsome sum indeed.
Conspirators?
What would be the value of such a grant? £10?
Oh, an order of magnitude out, madam.
£500 a year.
It could have handsome all that much for years.
Society's noticed an increase in bogus public demonstrations in the field of science recently. Plenty of scientists arguing with each other to get the largest slice of the funding cake. People's greed is plenty motive enough for murder, I assure you.
No, I haven't deceived anyone, least of all the government. My hypothesis is sound, the science is sound. Please, you must believe me.
Objection!
No matter how unbelievable this hypothesis may seem to you, ladies and gentlemen, fact remains that the victim was transported instantly to the Crystal Tower. Which means that the experiment was a success.
Barak.
Therefore, the only person who could have possibly committed this murder is the accused.
Barak. Where is this heading? I have no idea.
My lord, if I may. Yes, Lord Van Zieks. The prosecution would like to summon new witnesses to the stand. New witnesses? What would be the nature of their involvement? They were spectators of the demonstration at the exhibition, who occupy special seats.
Eyewitnesses.
Very well, the court grants the prosecution's request. I should very much like to hear from eyewitnesses to the incident. The prosecution's stance is clear. This experiment was no postiche. I don't know that. The accused killed the finance of the victim there on the public stage before the very eyes of the spectators. Now, my learned friend.
Oh, yes, sir.
It's time for you to make your own stance clear.
There's clearly a flaw in the professor's hypothesis. I can definitely see that. But where does that leave me?
We shall take a short recess now, during which time the prosecution will prepare its new witnesses to take the stand. As you wish, my lord. Good. In that case, court is adjourned for 20 minutes.
be continued. All right. 23rd of October, 10:44 a.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Mr. Naruto, what on earth were you playing at just now? Or rather, what on earth were you playing at all along? My hypothesis, my amazing hypothesis. You've been picking holes in it from the start. Sorry about that. But you promised me. You said you'd prove that dreaded explosion was an accident, not murder. You said you'd keep my precious invention from falling into anyone else's hands. But all you've done so far is try to undermine me. Yes, I did make you a promise. You're right. I said that I'd believe in you and fight for your freedom to the very end. But I also told you I was no scientist. I don't understand your hypothesis. The fact is, there's an undeniable flaw in your logic, isn't there? But if I just run through some equations... Yes, you see, it's because my work is incomplete. Perhaps it is. Nevertheless, a man died as a consequence, didn't he? Oh, no. You're right. You're so right. It's all my fault. I have no right to blame you for my failures. A disaster, not as a scientist, but as a human being. Well, that might be a little over the top. And while we're on the subject, what about Park? He's being awful. Claiming his old university friend to be a murderer, you mean? He's a disaster, not just a prosecutor, but as a human being. Oh, but no, wait, he's the Reaper, isn't he? Perhaps he's not classified as Homo sapiens anymore. That's cleared up. Can I double check something with you? Yes, what? The machine and demonstration you prepared, they were based entirely on your hypothesis, I presume? There was no trickery involved. I drew the plans for the machine with my very own hands. Every line was painstakingly drawn with a firm belief that science is the only future. So yes, it's true that my hypothesis hasn't reached maturity yet. But please, Mr. Naruto, you must believe in it. Alright, Professor. I understand. Counsel, defendant. The prosecution's witnesses are ready to take the stand. Court is about to be in session again. Make your way into the courtroom, please. It all hinges on that demonstration. If the professor's hypothesis is sound as he claims, it leaves him as the only person who could possibly have killed the victim. But on the other hand, Mr. Sholmes was adamant. A practical implementation, such as was attempted by the professor at the Grand Exhibition, is quite impossible. So really, what should I be trying to prove here? 23rd of October, 11 a.m. The Old Bailey Courtroom. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby reconvene the proceedings of this court. Counsels for the defense and prosecution, are you ready for the new witnesses to testify? Prosecution is ready, my lord. As is the defense, my lord. So, Lord Van Seeks, I believe these next witnesses saw the demonstration of the day in question with their own eyes. Indeed, they did. And as luck would have it, one of them is a police detective. So the testimony we are about to hear can be considered highly reliable. Perfect. A detective of all people. Prosecution stance remains unchanged. Though it ended in tragedy, and the demonstration of the day in question was scientifically sound. And consequently, the sole person with the opportunity to have committed this act of murder is the only other individual to have been present on the stage at the time, the accused. Thank you, counsel. The prosecution's position is clear. So, bring forth your witnesses now. Bailiff, show the witnesses in. Witnesses whose proximity to the incident on the day in question will clarify the truth unequivocally. Aye. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court to hear. My name's Balthazar Loon. I am the impresario of all the hot air balloons in the vicinity of the experimental stage. My name's Wilhelm Gottfried Sigismund Ormstein. Wilhelm Gottfried Sigismund Ormstein, I think is. I can't see the Great Exhibition all the way from my home in Bohemia. I'm very rich. Why are you wearing a mask like that? Inspector Gino Lestrade, Scotland Yard. I'm a great detective, Elena Laction's grace. I was on security duty at the exhibition, and I got to go up in one of them I was on security at the exhibition, and I got to go up in one of them balloons. It was amazing. Gina, again. But she did mention that she'd seen the disaster from up in her balloon, actually, didn't she? And she clearly loved every minute of it. There were 3 balloons flying near the public experimentation stage when the incident occurred. 2 of these witnesses were in one such balloon at the time, saw events unfold from the skies above. You make it sound like they were in the clouds. It was on the altitude of circa 60 feet, very low. Well, you can't see nothing if you fly too high, can you? 60 feet, about 18 meters then. Thank you for your introductions. Now you will give your formal testimony for the court. Kindly describe exactly what you witnessed, especially those of you who had a vantage point above the stage. Witness testimony. The view from 60 feet up. Oh, wasn't it terrible? I'm only grateful that my balloons were not damaged. What language is that? Spanish? Italian? One of those, I think. Something Latin.
there's this huge bang from the stage, and the next second another bang from the sky beside us. A funnel with the smoke, a cage appeared out of nowhere. The cage fell from the sky like a stone, crashed into the crystal tower. I didn't get a good look inside the cage, but no one went near it after it crashed into the tower. Most extraordinary collective account, I must say. Could I just clarify something? There's a detail in the witness's testimony that I've not heard any mention of until now. Specifically, that there were 2 explosions. More precisely, 2 explosions in 2 separate places, yes. When the demonstration began, the balloon carrying the 2 witnesses was round here. There were other balloons in the air nearby at the time, carrying other passengers as well, to be clear. Then, as power was supplied to the machine for the demonstration, the first explosion occurred. The so-called bird cage that contained the victim disappeared from the stage, and a moment later, a second explosion occurred, directly adjacent to the balloon carrying the witnesses. The bird cage appeared at the site of the explosion, subsequently to plummet down into the crystal tower. I was very surprised. Suddenly a cage appeared before my eyes with a person inside. The blast was so hot, I didn't want to miss a thing, so I kept my eyes wide. I still have lots of money. Precisely. Who is this curious infant? I'm told he is a young noble of Bohemian royalty. Apparently, he disguised himself in order to steal unnoticed into the Great Exhibition. I'm here in London and sightseeing. I'm here in London on a sightseeing trip with my elementary school. We will have the benefit of a child's point of view in the testimony. Do we really need that? When I remove my mask, this is what I look like. Oh, yes, I see. A delightful face, I'm sure. Everybody says so. Great disguise then. Point is, the testimony of these witnesses further substantiates the facts for the court. Namely, that despite ending in an explosion, instantaneous kinesis was successfully demonstrated. And furthermore, that until the arrival of the police, no one approached the crystal tower when the victim fell. Therefore, only the accused, who was with Mr. Assman on the stage, could have possibly committed the murder. Yes, thank you, counsel. The prosecution's views on the matter are quite clear. So, the defense's cross-examination now, please. Yes, my lord. Alright. I was indeed terrible. I'm only grateful that my balloons were not damaged.
Hold it!
There were 3 balloons flying above the experimentation at the time, I understand. Experimentation stage, rather.
See, so 3 of them were by my Bellissimi Bambini. They're very popular, you. Some people will pay £10 for one ride.
£10? That's more than my annual stipend.
£20 a month as my pocket money.
Royals have all the luck.
I got up there for free, I did. Play the old I work for Her Majesty's police card, you know.
The detectives have all the luck. If they're so popular, why would you only be operating such a small number of balloons, though?
Because if I have too many in the skies, they could crash into each other. The operators for the balloons were decided by lots, with each operator manning a particular area. See, as the zone above the public experimentation stage is the most profitable. Other impresarios, they hate me. Thank you, witness. I think the court has a clear picture of the arrangements for balloon rides at the exhibition. Perhaps we could hear more about what you actually witnessed of the incident.
Right, I can fill you in there, my lord. There's this huge bang from the stage, and the next second another bang in the sky beside us.
Hold it!
So you actually saw the incident happen from up in the air? Yep, isn't it amazing what detectives gets to do, eh? I'm telling you, Odo, being a lawyer's mug game. You should join the force and we go flying together. You know me so well. Yes, well, anyway, could you tell us exactly what you saw, do you think? Everything. We saw everything, because we were up above it all. And dodgy Cole climbing into that cage, and that dodgy professor pulling all them levers. And that's when it happened. That's when there was that massive bang and the cage disappeared, just like that.
You are describing the moment the subject's body was decomposed by the electricity, I believe.
I didn't know what to make of it. But then there was another bang right in my ear. I looked around. There was this huge, great fireball right next to us in the sky. There was nothing there before. What's up?
Excuse me.
Master Gotts, does your memory of the day differ? My teacher at elementary school says that when you meet someone for the first time, you should always use their full name. Yes, what was it again? Wilhelm Gostres Sismon Osheim. Just the four names, then. The point is, do you have something to say? Something to add in response to Detective Gino Lestrade's last remark, perhaps? Oh, get right, Odo. It's Inspector Lestrade. Why does everyone have a problem with how I address them at the moment? So that's not what I saw. Oh. Yeah, there was a second explosion. It was right beside a balloon, that's true. But I'm sure... But just what I said, isn't it? Well, there was nothing there. The next, a massive explosion. I can speak. My teacher at elementary school says that when someone else is speaking, if you are rude enough to interrupt, you will have the most awful life imaginable. Are all Bohemians brought up to be so full of joy? Just before the second explosion happened next to our balloon, I clearly witnessed a green balloon flying in the sky. A green balloon? You what? I never saw nothing like that. Well, I did! I saw it, you can't say I didn't. I was to complain to the council. I was cry and scream. My testimony is the truth. Bohemian Prince, you cannot say it's a lie. That's not allowed. Playing the bleeding royalty card, are ya? Typical. Says the orphan who likes to remind people that she works for Her Majesty's police.
In that case, young man, I must ask you to amend your formal testimony. In the interest of cordial nation relations between Great Britain and Bohemia.
It was not the sky as it exploded. It was a green balloon that was next to us. That was next to us at the time.
Hold it!
A green balloon, you say? Are you sure about that?
course I'm sure. I'm a proud Bohemian prince. All these questions are making me boring.
I think you mean bored?
English is very annoying. This is the language my countrymen is far superior. Well, I guess so. It's very wrong to lie. Lie? Flying balloons never explode. For the same reason the planets never explode. It's logical.
Please tell me that doesn't mean logical.
If you insult me, you insult all the Bohemia. I die. I would have the army come and shoot all of your stupid balloons out of the sky. All of them.
Here you are, Your Highness. If only all international incidents were so easily resolved.
Oh, the peaceful relations have been restored here in the courtroom. Perhaps we could return to the testimony. Did you also see the moment that the cage materialized, Mr. Loon? No, I did not see the explosion myself, however. The cage, it fell from the sky like a stone and crashed into the crystal tower.
Hold it!
Did you see that actually happen?
No, in reality I did not. I saw it after it hit the tower. There was a grand confusion about the stage. I ran to see what had happened. I was terrorized by the idea that one of my balloons had crashed.
I suppose they are his livelihood.
When I looked up to the sky, I thought my precious balloons were still there.
I saw it though. I saw it slam into the tower. After all, I am a detective now. And tell us what you saw, Inspector Lestrade. That's what I like to hear. I didn't go look inside the cage, but no one near it after it crashed into the tower.
Hold it!
Was it you who gave the order to keep people away? Use your head, Odo. How could it have been me? I was up in a balloon, wasn't I? Right. So, because I wasn't available, it was the boss who had to leg it over there. He was getting shoved and kicked all over by the panicking spectators as he tried to seal off the scene. That was a real sight to behold, I can tell you. Amazing. Or Inspector Gregson. So, anyway, I couldn't see the cage that well because all the smoke. And I didn't really want to see it, to be honest. I was scared of out of me wits. Keep it together, Inspector. The prosecution really is asserting that the demonstration was genuine. But what if it was actually some kind of switch-around trick instead? That would mean that the victim was never actually on the stage in the first place. The two explosions would have thrown everyone watching into a panic for sure. I think I need to find out more about what exactly people saw at the time. Best I can figure is green balloon, and we do have a piece of the green balloon. It's not exactly an objection, it's not a contradiction, but hey, look at this thing. You think it's this? Check this out. Nope. That last statement would seem to be at odds somehow with the evidence. I'm not saying it's at odds, I'm saying look at this. Do you think it might be related? I think it is. Is it your task, counsel, to explain? It is your task, counsel, to explain the somehows to the court, not the other way around. It just seems jarred, though, don't you think? What I think is that this whole exchange has been extremely jarring, yes. Perhaps I need to reconsider this. And I pressed it, so clearly that's not the thing. This is the information I drew out, and it didn't give me anywhere pressing it. So I clearly need to present something to it, but... that's not helpful.
Objection!
Not that. Okay,
Hold it!
pressing it getting me again? Green balloon, you say? Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. This question is boring. Yes, yes, yes. I don't like your English. It's very wrong to lie. Flying balloons never explode. So that's not really... Insult me, blah blah blah. I'm going to shoot you. See the cage? No. Okay. So this is the bit I got out. It didn't give me any piece of evidence. I clearly need to contradict it with something. I guess I can look at this again. Reaper attacked. The kingpins of the criminal underworld generally managing to escape conviction in the Reaper's trials. This isn't the first time their henchmen have tried to attack Lord Von Zieks as a result, by the sound of it. Makes you think, if that's how the justice system works in London, there must be dark forces at work. Okay, that doesn't help me. Can I look at this again? Can't find anything out of place. This is clearly part of the balloon, but huge bang from the sky. Maybe now that I have that, I can tell her about the fact that we found the balloon fragment, which proves the other guy's statement?
Objection!
No. What do you want me to do here? Like, I see the thing. You say you see balloon, and I'm like, yes, I agree. I have the piece of the balloon, in fact. Isn't that lovely? Pressing it didn't get me anything to, like... Maybe if we press this again now that he's not going to interrupt, actually. Let's give that a shot. So, you actually saw the accident happen from up in the air. Yep, isn't it amazing what a detective gets to do, eh? I'm telling you, though, being a lawyer's a mug game. You should join the force and we can all go flying together. You know me so well. Yes, well, anyway, you tell us exactly what you saw, do you think? Everything! We saw everything, so we were up above it all. And Dodgy Cove climbing into that cage, and Dodgy Professor pulling all them levers. And that's when it happened. That's when there was that massive bang and the cage disappeared. Just like that. You're describing the moment of the subject's body was decomposed by electricity, I believe. I didn't know what to make of it. But then there was another bang, right in the air. I looked around, and there was this huge great fireball next to us in the sky. There was nothing there before. And what appears out of the flames? A cage, that's what. And that description sounds like the moment after the man was beamed instantaneously through space. It's mind-blowing, isn't it? Well, that's the 20th century for you, I reckon. The people actually saw the demonstration with their own eyes. Really believe they saw something miraculous taking place. That didn't help me. I saw the sky explode. It was a green balloon that was next to us at the time. Right, but I went through your pressing thing and it didn't get us anywhere. I agree that there was a balloon. I pressed all the statements. It's a terrible... Oh, I see. Check this out. Look at this. Mr. Loon, in your testimony, you said that all 3 of the balloons you had operating at the time were undamaged. See, that's correct. If they'd been caught in the explosions, it would have been terrible. I have no idea what sort of accent to give this man. He's either Spanish or Italian. I don't know enough to differentiate those in text without significantly more words available. I also don't know what either of those would sound like. I wonder if you might know what this is. I think it may be see, part of a balloon, a burnt piece of the fabric of the envelope. Sorry, the envelope. Pardon, that is the large round part of the balloon which becomes filled with hot air. It's made from very thick fabric lined with rubber. You do not want it to rip while you were in the sky. Just as I thought. This piece of cloth was found near the experimentation stage. In other words, as Master Galtz testified, the green balloon did indeed explode that day. If all the balloons in the sky above the experimentation stage belong to you, Mr. Loon, then your statement that they were all undamaged clearly contradicts the evidence. No. The balloon exploded that day. Why didn't the man say so? Maybe everyone on board was killed. Oh no, having just spent 10 old pounds for the experience. How awful. Seems to me like those things crash 50% of the time anyway. The instantaneous kinesis did occur. And after the explosion on the stage, the point of materialization shifted to a location occupied by a balloon, causing the balloon to explode. Yes, eminently plausible.
An unfortunate traffic accident, as it were. But it changes nothing about the pertinent facts.
Did anyone else die that day? If people were in a balloon that exploded, they would be dead. At the very least injured.
This I cannot accept.
Hold on a second. Okay. Why not, Mr. Loon?
You are suggesting that I am a liar. That person died in a balloon incident. There was no need to get fired up, Miss Loon. The victim was a sole fatality that day. That's right. I prove it. Balthazar Loon is not a liar. There's no such balloon in the sky. It's impossible.
You're saying it's impossible. Why?
This court has more important matters to discuss. The number of balloons that were operating that day.
Objection.
But we can't ignore the fact that nobody appears to have known anything about this other balloon until now. My lord, the defense calls for further testimony from Mr. Loon.
I concur. There's clearly more to the truth here than meets the eye. It's imperative that we clear up the issue with this phantom balloon, I feel. Witness, you will give supplementary testimony about the balloons you were operating at the exhibition. I can speak. Grazie, my lord.
I think it's Italian.
Witness testimony. Mr. Loon's balloons. As I said, Balthazar Loon is no liar. Every balloon I had in the sky landed safely. All three of my balloons were carrying passengers. If they fell to the ground in an explosion, what a catastrophe!
But you can get away from the fact that, but you can't get away from the fact that a burnt-up piece of cloth was found at the scene, can you? The coppers at the yard reckoned it was probably some debris from thrown by the explosion on the stage.
A stupid Ragazar was mistaken. Our balloons have the red and blue zigzag stripes anyway. So your assertion is that the balloon this child saw was not one belonging to you. See, exactamente. Even if he saw a balloon in the first place. I don't like the sound of it. It's very bad for business. I have a good mind to sue the land of Bohemia. If you attack us, we will fight back. It will be war. Out war.
It happened to all-out war. And Mr. Loon certainly doesn't appear to be lying. But that doesn't change the fact that the testimony and evidence are contradictory here.
If the defense is unable to find fault with the witness's statements, the court must consider them the truth. Think long and hard on that, my learned friend.
The situation has clearly changed now. I have to get to the bottom of what happened here, no matter what it takes.
Counsel, you may now cross-examine the witnesses. Cross-examination. As I said, Balthazar Loon is a liar. Every balloon I had in the sky landed safely.
Hold it!
You couldn't just have forgotten one, maybe?
Senor. I might not notice if I was given 100 lentils and one was missing. But we are talking about 3 enormous balloons. Would you believe I could make a mistake about something so grand and expensive? I took the liberty of having Inspector Gregson check this gentleman's warehouse. I have the report here. It clearly says a total of 3 balloons. It would appear no mistake has been made then.
Surely Miss Lestrade could have been sent out. Surely Miss Lestrade could have been sent for such a menial task. I can speak. Not me. I'll tell you what I told the boss. East End kids like me can only count up to 2. Obviously that ain't true, but the boss bought it and said he'd have to go himself in that case.
3 of my balloons were carrying passengers. They fell to the ground in an explosion. Oh, what a catastrophe!
Explosion? Too close to the English words, and I'm like, oh, good luck. No, I'm not registering them as distinctly different enough to, or how to pronounce them separately. Explosion. Something like that. It would be quite a catastrophe if they fell to the ground for any reason, I think. On that note, Mr. Loon, tell me, what is it that keeps these balloons in the sky?
You're an idiota!
Sorry?
It's like asking why does a candle burn bright? It burns bright because it burns bright. And a balloon flies because it flies. What else?
That must be Italian for I don't know.
Okay, he is Italian then. Not 2 balloons. Not 2 types of flying balloons. Hot air balloons and gas balloons. Hot air balloons work on the principle of hot air being less dense than cold air, whereas gas balloons derive their lift by using a gas that is lighter than air. See, my balloons are filled with the magic gas, I believe.
You don't know?
Hydrogen. Lighter than air, but highly explosive. Good lord! I do not permit smoking of the cigarettes in any of my balloons. Magic gas does not like fire. Even a small spark of static electricity could cause the entire balloon to explode.
I think that's why people don't use that anymore. Not that I'm sure how much hot air balloons are getting used as anything more than like a novelty, but still.
What's the matter with you, Senor? What comes out of your mouth is explosion, explosion. I tell you, my balloons are perfectly safe. I have to be, or I cannot eat.
I don't know what an Italian accent sounds like beyond the horrifically, likely incorrect and exaggerated version that, like, Mario has.
None of my balloons exploded that day. I'm completely sure. If you still say that's what happened, you must show me the proof.
Alright, so Mr. Loon had 3 balloons in the air that day. If none of them were damaged, then what was the one that exploded? Well, you can't go away from the fact that a burnt-up bit of cloth was found at the scene, can you?
Hold it!
I was surprised to find the piece of fabric still at the scene, actually. Didn't you search the area surrounding the stage for clues? Nah, I'm not picking stuff up off the ground, me. Always works out way better diving into people's pockets instead. So much for the new career path. Mind you, the boss was on his hands and knees picking up all kinds of rubbish from the floor. Thing is, though, the cage went crashing into the Crystal Tower, didn't it? So that's why most of the investigating was going on. Even so, I would have thought someone from Scotland Yard would have gathered it up as evidence.
Of course, listen to you.
Stumble across a big balloon, so suddenly you're the best investigator in the world. Pardon? Oh, you ain't got a badge, have you? Like this one. I could arrest you with this if I wanted to. I wouldn't put it past her. Come to think of it, I was talking some scorching on the ground at a meeting we had about the investigation. Yeah, we saw that. Couples at the yard reckon it was probably some debris thrown by the explosion on the stage.
Hold it!
There was considerable damage to the stage and surrounding area, wasn't there? Yeah, some of the cows that were watching the experiment were caught in the blast and injured. The old contraption didn't keel over, eh? I hadn't even considered that. It seems there was great panic after the incident occurred. Nevertheless, the police shouldn't have missed a torn piece of the envelope from a balloon. Inspector Gregson can expect repercussions. Look at me swapping all his fish and chips, eh? Oh man, this whole pleasure. None of this matters. Scrap a balloon envelope means nothing. Niente. Stupid old Ragazor is mistaken. My balloons have red and blue zigzag stripes anyway.
Hold it!
You mean the color is wrong? See, senor, I don't have any green balloons in my warehouse. And yet, a piece of green cloth was found at the scene, and it's unmistakably from a balloon. But I do not know how that can be. You seem very nervous. I was about to say maybe it's just someone else's balloon, but a face like that seems to indicate something else. For the sake of argument, let's say that a green balloon did explode above the stage. You couldn't therefore conclude that it happened on the day in question. Why not? There have been recreational balloon flights over Hyde Park operating from before the Great Exhibition. One could have exploded on some earlier date. Unfortunate, as I'm sure you'd agree. You believe it may have been from some earlier balloon accident that predates the exhibition. Si, exactamente. Our Signor says it was not from one of my balloons. This little Ragazor from the Bohemia was mistaken about what he saw. Tantrum.
Excuse me.
You have a camera, do you? I just noticed that. Is something wrong, Master God? It's Master Wilhelm Gottschalk Sigismund Olsheim. It was on the tip of my tongue. Something is very wrong. I know what I saw. There was a green balloon there. I swear all over Bohemia. You can speak as much bad language as you like, but it changes nothing. You do not have evidence, Ragazor, and I must tell your parents to punish you, eh? Perhaps we'll let the judge decide when it comes to punishments. Evidence? What is this evidence? To give a simple explanation, young man. A photograph, for instance. Some tangible proof of what you claim. Well, why did you say so sooner? I have the photograph here. Gracious! What? It's not been up in a balloon for a while, so I was very excited. I took lots and lots of photographs. Of the Crystal Tower, of the Bohemian exhibit, of the streets of London, of the hot air cellar, the balloon, and the instantaneous kinesics experiment. Did you take a picture of that? Zoom picture. Really? You did take one? All I wanted was a ride in a balloon. I was not interested in blowing experiments. Never mind that. Can you show us that photograph? Of course, as you will see. You will see that I am not lying. That I really did see a green balloon. empty.
Well, I see you are too shocked to speak.
Yes, I think shocked is indeed the word, young man.
Perhaps you could not see as I was a green balloon from this photograph, but But that is not my fault! So the photo superposed an amazing camera! That is one very bohemian sounding cry.
I don't have even the remotest idea of what that sounds like. I'm just... Very well, the court will accept this photograph as evidence. Photograph of the balloon has been entered in the court record. Photograph taken by Gotts was he was riding in a balloon. Shows another balloon that he claims was green and exploded moments after he took the shot.
It's not my fault. It's the fault of the person who made the camera. Well, never mind. I'm sure you have plenty of wonderful sepia memories to take home with you. In any case, when exactly did you take that photograph? Well, it was on the day of the big explosion. You don't say. When I pressed the shutter release, there was this very loud bang. And the hot wind rushed over my face. That means this photograph was taken a split second before the explosion occurred.
Well, if you ask me, this black and white photograph changes nothing. I could not give the flying fig.
Lovely language you picked up. As I thought, Mr. Loon's testimony just doesn't quite add up. Young Bohemian boy claims to have seen another fourth balloon. Mr. Loon vehemently denies the possibility. And it's hard to imagine the man in charge could be mistaken about the number that were up in the air. Still, this inconsistency must tell us something, I'm sure.
Every balloon has landed safely. There's what a catastrophe. There was a balloon. Everyone figured it was garbage. Red and blue zigzag stripes. And there's no stripes on this one. Does that help? What can I see in this?
What's this?
Can't see the stripes on here, but it might not be a good angle for it. There's a guy down there. This is really the thing, huh? Not that I'm showing it very well with a magnifying glass, that just kind of seems to be weird, but clearly that's what we need. From down in the crowd. I suppose that'd be the crossbow shot. Very shiny. Red and blue zigzag stripes. I reckon it was probably some debris. What a catastrophe. Every balloon you had in the sky landed safely. I mean, you're talking about the stripes. We don't see stripes in this image, if you'll note. It might not be a good angle for it, but stripe?
Objection!
Nope, that doesn't help. Okay, that doesn't... I would have to overrule your objection. Yes, yes, yes.
The defense would have to accept the penalty given.
I want to hear it. You would also have to think again. Hmm? Maybe if we press this again and now he's not. Okay. But the prince took a photograph as proof. It's Prince Wilhelm Gotfried Sigmund Olsheim. Your royal blood will not help you here, Ragazol. See, here's the balloon. There's nothing more you can see from this black and white photograph. Just look out my head. That is Balthazar Loon Balloon, is best in business. Let's try not to get overinflated. The point is this. Here we have a clear photographic proof that in the sky above the experimentation stage, there may very well have been a balloon operated by someone other than you, Mr. Loon. Who was it? I want to know. Who was that mongrel with no respect for the boundaries? As I thought, Mr. Loon's testimony just doesn't quite add up. The Bohemian boy claims to have seen another fourth balloon. Mr. Loon vehemently denies the possibility. It's hard to imagine the man in charge could be mistaken about the number that was in the air. Still, this inconsistency must tell us something, I'm sure. What am I missing here? He couldn't have forgotten one? No, that's absurd. We looked at the thing. We looked at him. All three balloons are carrying passengers. Fell to the ground in an explosion. What a catastrophe. Carrying passengers. This one isn't carrying passengers. I'm not sure how much arguing with that helps if we're arguing that someone else just had a balloon and this sucks. I'm not sure why we're arguing with you at all, in fact. We have an image of a balloon. It's not proven to be green, but what if we just consider someone else had a balloon? Wild, huh?
Objection!
I'm not sure why we need to argue this point. Unfortunately, the photograph Master Gotz took can't tell us the color of the balloon. But it can tell us something else. Something crucially important. What? It shows that the pictured balloon wasn't carrying any passengers. Oh my goodness, you're right. But surely all the balloons would have been carrying passengers. There would be no sense in it otherwise. See, no pleasure for seeing the view. My balloons only fly with passengers. Which tells us that this pictured balloon isn't one of them. So, when the incident occurred that day, there was a fourth balloon in the skies above the experimentation stage. The mysterious green balloon. I know nothing, brilliant! I can only tell you one thing. If this balloon was not carrying passengers, then it was not one of mine. Yeah, you're acting weird about this.
Objection!
Legal tradesmen everywhere you care to look. Clearly, one such entrepreneur decided to capitalize on the opportunity presented by the Great Exhibition. He managed to operate balloon flights on Mr. Loon's patch without him realizing. See, the competition was trying to steal my profits. I didn't notice because the experimentals were wrong on stage. This fourth balloon exploded at the very same moment Mr. Hausman was beamed from the stage below. Right, so some scraps that fell to the ground earlier and left some scorch marks. They didn't come from the stage at all. It was best the balloon rained down. But because no one was in it, it didn't get no attention. Mysterious fourth balloon carrying no passengers silently floating over the experimentation stage.
Objection!
This photograph shows us nothing more. A stray balloon carrying no one and operated by some rogue trader. Clearly it has nothing to do with the case.
relevance does elude me, I must say. The court has seen sufficient evidence and heard ample testimony already. The prosecution calls for this trial to be concluded.
No, I have more to say about it. Look at the image.
Really? Have we really got to the truth yet? No, I can't let this opportunity slip away. The jurors' minds are made up, and not in our favor. What else can this photograph tell us? Is there nothing more we can learn from it?
Objection!
Wait. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, wait. Please, don't give your decisions yet. The photograph from Master Galtz may well be hiding one more vital clue.
What's that? Vital clue?
Objection!
Well, past the point of mere possibilities. It's time for definitives now. Tell the court. What exactly does this alleged clue in the photograph prove?
We can reasonably assume that the pictured balloon was destroyed in the searing heat of the explosion. That is right. It was not my fault.
No one was blaming you for it exploding. Evidently. Because the bird cage from the kinesis machine materialized in the sky where it had been flying. And the balloon, being filled with flammable hydrogen, instantly and explosively ignited.
Objection!
No, that's not what happened.
What? It would appear that this photograph requires closer examination. Counsel for the defense, you will highlight the location of this alleged clue in the photograph for the court.
Of course, my lord. If you look closely, it's plain enough to see. And what's shown is linked to another piece of evidence we have, in a way that leads to an unbelievable conclusion. A clue that heavily suggests the real reason for the real reason the balloon exploded is... Look at this beam! The timing of this photograph can only be described as miraculous. If you look, you'll notice there is a bright white line that appears to point directly at the balloon.
Most likely a ray of light caught incidentally on the film. I'm afraid I can see nothing of the sort.
If you look with a magnifying glass, my lord, it becomes clear what the nature of this bright line really is.
Sure is a line. Good goodness, what's that? Undeniably some flash of light, yes. Oh golly, do you think it might be lightning? But it couldn't have been a finer day. I believe we may be looking at fire. A bolt of fire headed straight for the balloon, like an arrow. Indeed, even to my aging eyes, it would appear to be a flame of some sort. My word, are you suggesting this flame struck the hydrogen gas that filled the balloon?
Objection!
That's absurd. The balloon would have been 60 feet above the ground at the time. No flame could possibly have reached such a height.
Objection!
Actually, it's my opinion that a particular piece of evidence found at the scene reveals how that is exactly what did happen.
What evidence? If such evidence exists, counsel, then for goodness sake, present it, man. Which evidence explains this mysterious streak of flame that appears to be headed directly for the balloon? Drink water. It appears to be snowing very lightly. Oh wait, it's here. I didn't have to go all the way over there. Look at this crossbow. I found it on the ground. This was found hidden at the foot of a small ornamental tree near the scene.
Good lord, it's that a crossbow?
An arrow dipped in oil and set alight could have been shot from this weapon, sending a flaming arrow straight into the hydrogen-filled balloon.
Are you suggesting that crossbow was used too deliberately?
Blimey, you're right! A streak of light in the photo looks just like an arrow, doesn't it?
And the explosion of the balloon, it was...
Very likely the result of a flaming arrow from this crossbow igniting the hydrogen gas inside it.
No. Order! Council, this is an extraordinary supposition.
If the aim was to cause the balloon to explode, the shooter could have used a gun, of course. However, there's an obvious reason why that would have been out of the question.
The noise, the discharge. Of course.
That's right. By using a crossbow, the projectile could be fired at the balloon silently. Not sure silent, but certainly much quieter. Yeah. Someone had shot a gun off in the explosion grounds, it would have caused a real panic.
But with the big explosion, there was a very big panic anyway, no?
I don't like this. I should be pleased to have found a plausible new explanation for all this, but something feels wrong.
Objection!
Do you understand the implications of what you're saying, my Nipponi's friend?
If a flaming arrow did indeed hit the balloon, then obviously it would have exploded. And if the birdcage appeared from the cloud of smoke that ensued...
Wait a minute, what are you really saying here? I don't get it. Was the birdcage beamed up into the sky after all, or what? My goodness me!
Now I understand. That's what that sinking feeling is about. I think there's a good chance that the birdcage was actually concealed inside the balloon all along.
What? Did I just hear that correctly, Council?
There's no going back now. The horse is bolted. Let's assume, as I said, that the birdcage was hidden inside the green balloon from the start. On stage, when the experiment was started, the birdcage and the instantaneous kinesis machine disappeared in a cloud of smoke. At that moment, the flaming arrow was fired from the ground, causing the green balloon to explode and drawing the attention of the spectators to the sky above their heads. From amid the smoke, the hidden birdcage then appeared to fall down and crash into the crystal tower. I think you'll all agree it's entirely plausible that what I've just described is the real truth behind the miraculous experiment carried out that day.
Good grief!
Objection!
It's ludicrous. What you've described is no science experiment. It's child's play. Contemptible display of stage magic.
Both Mr. Sholmes and Iris said that the experiment was a scientific impossibility. In which case, this is the only way to explain what happened that day.
In any case, the victim's body was found inside the birdcage in the crystal tower. The instantaneous kinesis didn't take place. How do you explain that? If I may put in a word, as a matter of magic myself, such apparent discrepancies can easily be explained by some simple deception.
Juror number 3.
All that would be needed is a doppelganger, someone who looked very similar to the victim, Mr. Oswald. And having this other man appear on stage, front the show, as a body double.
Yes, of course. So, in fact, Mr. Osman must have been inside the birdcage that was concealed inside the balloon right from the start.
Objection!
That balloon would have been filled with hydrogen. Anything hidden inside it would have been scattered to the four winds when it exploded. No one would ever have embarked on such a risky venture. Not necessarily. The explosive force of the balloon gas would very much depend on the mixture ratio.
Mixture number 4.
Flying balloons are rarely filled with pure hydrogen, but a mixture of other gases such as helium as well. Helium on its own doesn't explode, but by controlling the gas mixture ratio, the explosive force can be altered. Mixture ratio. Obviously, the victim's body would have suffered some burns that would be unavoidable. But not to such an extent as to render this whole obscene charade impossible.
So, everything that happened can be explained, logically and scientifically. The explosion that engulfed the stage at the start of the experiment was no accident. It was all part of an elaborate deception to make it appear that instantaneous kinesis had occurred.
Well, goodness me.
And if we accept that this is what happened, it means that the victim, Mr. Osman, was never present on the public experimentation stage to begin with. In short, he couldn't have been killed by the defendant who was on stage in full view the entire time. This would be very hard for the prosecution to counter. Lord Von Zieks can't credibly maintain that Professor Harebrained is a suspect now.
Oh, what's up now? Didn't you have a hold it sound earlier? I guess maybe to keep the suspense. Mr. Naruhodo, I appreciate your efforts, thank you.
Professor?
You can stop now. Keep your mouth shut, please.
Sorry?
What's all this about, Mr. Harebrained? I, Albert Harebrained, hereby confess that it was me who stabbed Mr. Udi Osman. Yes, that it was me, with my faithful friend and partner, Andrew the Screwdriver.
What are you doing?
Order! Defendant, explain the sudden confession.
Objection!
Professor Harebrained, what are you talking about?
That's what I've said all along. I must protect my hypothesis, my precious machine. You stand there and claim it was all a trick, and all an elaborate prank, but where's your proof? No, you'd have to examine the machine if you wanted to prove it, but then it would be all over. My beautiful hypothesis would be laid bare. I mean, the indignity of it!
It's clear that you drew the plans for the experiment, but you didn't actually build it. It's quite conceivable that you were duped, Professor. If you'll just let me talk.
Yes. I'll cooperate. Do whatever you say, I swear it. So please. Ensure the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act is adhered to and protect my creation. Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hollow chalice at this critical juncture. Here's to my learned Nipponese friend.
What?
In his upcoming attempt to clarify the defense's position in light of the accused's confession. Do you intend to formally assert that the experiment was nothing more than a conjuring trick? Because, the moment you do, this special dispensation from the Scientific Equipment Act that protects the professor's invention will cease to apply. The prosecution will then demand a rigorous examination of the machinery involved in order to establish the truth. However, if you acknowledge that the machine is genuine and instrumental in the victim's murder, any chance of investigating will be crushed. The confidentiality of the professor's hypothesis is preserved.
Confidentiality doesn't mean anything when you're in jail. You can't do any inventions from jail. That doesn't help anything.
Well, counsel, what is the defense's official position on this matter?
What Professor Harebrain, my client, actually asked of me was to prove that the explosion on stage was an accident and protect the secrecy of his hypothesis. But there's no way to do that without implying the professor's guilt. Do I protect my client's life by asserting his innocence? Do I uphold my client's request but see him condemned? Either way, I can't avoid betraying his trust.
You've been silent long enough. Isn't talking your trade, my learned friend? Or has all knowledge of English escaped your confused Nipponese mind?
Mr. Naruto, to escape here, I have to make a choice. But it's an impossible one. I have to give up on something, but what? The defense asserts that the defendant's instantaneous kinesis machine was, in fact... He can do more experiments if he's alive and not in jail. He will be fine. He will be sad, but he will not die, which is much more helpful. No, I can't say it. My client placed his faith in me. I can't just let him down.
What must I give up on? It's not the question you have to ask yourself here. It's what can I protect?
Hi?
What must I give up on? It's not the question you have to ask yourself here. It's what can I protect?
Hello again, Mr. Naruto. It's been far too long. Sato-san! But what are you... My first Sato takedown in 6 months. There will be time to talk later, Mr. Naruto. For now, we must concentrate on the task at hand. Which is working out, not what I have to give up on, but what I can protect. Professor Harebrain.
Yes.
Yesterday, you told me that science is the pursuit of truth. Well, my job is to pursue the truth too.
Yes, of course.
And personally, I believe that you didn't stab Mr. Osman. I think you've come to realize something yourself too, haven't you? That your experiment and the machine you built with the victim are questionable. The truth behind that is what we must both pursue now. So, you finally opened your eyes. What? And as for you, Albert, you can't ignore this any longer. Having heard my learned friend's assertion, don't you have something to say? Barak. Lord Von Zeeks. Gosh, I've never heard him speak that way before. In truth, there's one thing, something I've remembered that's of relevance. What? On the day it happened, just before I began the experiment, I saw a man near the stage. A man holding that crossbow. I beg your pardon. Professor! Did the man have any distinguishing features? What did he look like? Taller than me, and thinner than me, with straight hair, straighter and whiter than mine. Let me see, one lens less than me too, a monocle, a rather stylish black monocle. But one thing in particular will help to positively identify the man. You see, I know him very well. After all, he's the engineer who built my invention. What? He built the machine. That's right, Mr. Osman introduced me to him a year ago. He's a man by the name of Enoch Drebber. Enoch Drebber! You know of him? Does this name mean something? Members of the jury seem flustered. Not a name any scientist wishes to hear. The man's an abomination. Not a name any conjurer wishes to hear either. Who on earth is he? I'm afraid this isn't the first tale of this nature that I've heard in scientific circles in connection with the name. Let's talk of other flamboyant experiments that turn out to be nothing but stage trickery in the end. Obviously, the rascals after the government's research grant money. When magicians are in need of money, I have heard of them resorting to these underhanded tactics. Some acquaintances of mine with experience of such things have mentioned Enoch Drebber's name before. The man is both an engineer and a magician. Yes, we're dealing with an unparalleled confidence trickster here. That's Enoch Drebber for you. Messages. I'm gonna have to... I have to deal with that in a second. So it's true then. My invention, my great machine, was just a grand illusion. Considering what we've just heard about Mr. Drebber's character, I'm sorry to say that it sounds increasingly likely. Although no one else believed it, I wanted to. I wanted to believe that machine would function exactly as my hypothesis predicted. Which is why you're so opposed to it being investigated, I presume. Ah, right, that. I knew if the machine was examined in detail, its construction would give away my hypothesis. Okay. Sorry, I
arrested. Obviously, I didn't want that to happen, but at the same time... I'm so busy, but you're not texting me in the middle of... I'm going to have to pause at some point once they're done having a conversation. And they move on to a slightly different thing. I knew that if I was found to be nothing more than a trick, that if it was found to be nothing more than a trick, that a work of deception, that everything I'd worked towards, all my research, all my dreams, my whole life would be over. I was terrified at the prospect.
So you really had no idea then, did you? About the true nature of the machine that was built, and the true nature of Mr. Drebber.
I never questioned anything. I didn't want to question it.
It's entirely possible that Mr. Osman and Mr. Drebber were working together to use you as a means of fraudulently acquiring the research grant money.
When I announced my invention to the crowds that day, it was the finest moment of my career. I pulled all the levers and turned all the dials in exactly the way Trevor had described. When the smoke suddenly started billowing out, I panicked. I didn't know what was happening. I really don't know how the whole illusion was made to work.
Probably just an elevator to below the stage. While the other guy was already up and dead in that thing. The engineer on the floor stopped texting me. I'm so busy! Did a distraction. The other guy, the engineer magician, was on the floor below the stage, shot up the thing, and the look-alike just kind of left, didn't know what the precise deal was, I guess. It changed into something a little less flashy and obvious and bailed. Might be regretting some things now. I don't know anything anymore. Let me confirm one final point with you, Professor. Do you now consent to the prosecution submitting the necessary paperwork to release your invention from the protection afforded by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act?
Yes, please go ahead. I'm very sorry. It would appear that we shall have to suspend proceedings for the remainder of the day now. Lord Von Zeeks. Lord. Court has newly been made aware of another party whose involvement in this matter is critical. Yes, Mr. Drebber. Gather information about this man. If possible, I should like him served with a subpoena. With pleasure, my lord. Now, counsel for the defense.
Yes, my lord.
When we reconvene, I shall be looking for one thing and one thing alone from you. Evidence that the defendant is innocent of the crime for which he presently stands accused.
I understand.
Good. In that case, this court is adjourned until tomorrow morning. Alright. Given all the texting, I'm probably gonna have to stop with this, but that's fine.
23rd of October, 1:36 p.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber.
Mr. Naruto.
Yes?
I'm so sorry. I was wrong. You were right. I tricked you. You trusted me and I dragged you into my mess. Oh, how did it ever come to this? I'm so sorry.
Did you really have no idea, Professor? About what Mr. Drebber was really up to, I mean. About what he was really constructing.
Naturally. That machine was the embodiment of my hypothesis of all my hopes and dreams. I had complete faith in it.
Alright. In that case, I won't say any more. Now, sadly, the murder accusation against you still stands. So we must do as much investigation as we can before the trial resumes tomorrow.
Oh, thank you for doing so much to me.
I'm so sorry for arriving late this morning, Mr. Naruhodo. Arriving late? Didn't you receive my postcard? I wanted to let you know when I'd arrive. Postcard? What postcard?
I hid it from you, Runo. So you would be a surprise. So it would be a surprise. Well, did it work?
I was surprised, alright. Especially when she threw me to the ground. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. I was just so happy to see you again that it sort of slipped out. Maybe we could stick to more traditional displays of emotion in the future.
Susie's train was late into London Victoria this morning, you see. But we made the coachman really whip the horses hard so she didn't miss the whole trial. I was watching for the gallery though for a while, but in the end, I'm afraid I couldn't contain myself.
Well, I'm glad you didn't. Oh! Having you at my side in court gives me the strength I need to win. So, I'm delighted to see you back in London.
Oh, you're too kind, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm delighted to be here. I hope I can continue to be of service to you.
Of course. So, what's brought you back? Did Professor Mikotoba not protest?
Let's save all that conversation for when we're back at home, shall we? You know, I've made one of my most special blends ever for this special occasion. Oh, Iris, so wonderful. I can't wait.
Sato-san was back in London. It's hard to describe how happy that made me feel at the time, but despite my elation, our tale was about to take yet another extraordinary turn.
To be continued. Anyway, I've had a thought while all this was happening, unrelated to really any of the active proceedings of the trial. It's pretty clear, from the name of the episode and the general reaction to Mr. Mask Mystery Person, the implication is that Cosma, somehow. Except he's dead. So that's a problem. But maybe he's being channeled? Like spirit channeling? That's still a thing that should exist somewhere. With people. We haven't really been introduced to the concept in these games, but like, it should be around. But then, why? Why a lot of things? And also who? Because you can't just keep that up forever. Oh.
Because we definitely saw that he died. Failing that, I'm not sure what the actual name of the chapter could be implying here. Oh well. That's not to be dealt with today, though. This is a good place to stop, especially since I have to deal with those texts and the contents of them. Nothing terribly major, just things to be done. So that's a good place to stop here for today. We'll get into the investigation on Friday. I'm not sure if I'm streaming on Wednesday. Probably? Maybe. I don't think I had that much of the Conan game left, and the only thing I need to make on Wednesday, provided everything works out properly tomorrow, should be icing. And then putting it on the cake and whatever. So that shouldn't be too big of an issue. I'll just have to set a couple things out before I start up, like the butter, so it's soft and I don't have to try and microwave it or something. It should be manageable. I'll probably stream on Wednesday. I'm like right at the end of the game, so it shouldn't be too long anyway. After that, I'll have to find something else to put on Wednesdays. I'll have to look into that later. I got more than a week. I should be able to find something in that time. But anyway, that's all from now. We'll get back into this. We'll see the investigation on Friday. We'll see how things go. Yeah. Have a nice day. Goodbye.